Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see people forever. She was the kind of woman people whispered about in elevators, the untouchable billionaire, the youngest CEO in the city's history, who built her empire from dust and ruled it like a fortress of glass and gold. But that morning, she sat on the edge of her glass desk, staring at the city skyline, realizing she was just hours away from losing it all. Her name was Victoria Hale, sharp, stunning, and alone. Her company, Hale Innovations, was collapsing. Stocks had crashed overnight, investors were pulling out, and her board had given her 24 hours to prove she could fix the mess. And then, fate, or maybe something bigger, decided to send her help in the most unexpected form, a janitor with tired eyes, calloused hands, and a story that would shatter every wall she had built around herself. Chapter 1. The elevator doors opened with a metallic sigh. It was past midnight. The floor lights were dim, and the building echoed with emptiness. Victoria's heels clicked across the marble as she whispered under her breath, "Everything I've built, gone." Just like that. She dropped a stack of papers, and they scattered like snow across the floor. She bent down, frustration flooding her eyes, and that's when she saw him. A man in an old gray uniform stood nearby with a mop in hand. He looked about 35, maybe 40. His hair was messy, his eyes weary, but kind, the kind that held entire lifetimes behind them. "Ma'am, you okay?" he asked softly, kneeling to help gather her papers. She didn't answer right away. No one ever spoke to her like that, gently, without fear or pretense. People always looked at her with admiration or envy, never empathy. "I'm fine," she muttered, brushing his hand away. "Just a bad night." He smiled faintly. "Bad nights don't last forever. Trust me, I've seen worse." She frowned, glancing at his name tag. "Ethan. You seen worse, huh?" she asked bitterly. "Did you ever watch your entire company burn while the world laughed?" He chuckled softly. "No. But I watched my little girl cry herself to sleep because I couldn't afford her medicine. That's my version of burning." She froze. The words hit her harder than any boardroom insult or media headline ever could. Ethan stood, clutching the mop handle like it was part of him. "Life doesn't end when you lose something, ma'am. Sometimes, that's when it really starts." For a moment, they just stood there in silence, two worlds colliding under flickering fluorescent lights. Victoria forced a polite smile. "Thank you. Ethan, was it? But I don't think mops and motivation can fix a multi-million-dollar collapse." He didn't flinch. "Maybe not. But sometimes, the solution ain't in money. It's in people." She turned away before she could answer. But those words followed her all night. The next morning, chaos reigned. Reporters surrounded her building, investors demanded explanations, and her assistant quit on the spot. Victoria's entire world was unraveling. By noon, she sat in the conference room, alone again, staring at a proposal on her laptop that might save her company. Except it wasn't hers. It was stolen. She could take it, present it, and no one would ever know. Her company would be saved, but her integrity would be gone. She pressed her palms against her face. What am I even fighting for anymore? Then, a soft knock on the door. It was Ethan, holding a coffee cup and a small lunch bag. "You haven't eaten all day," he said simply. "I don't eat lunch with employees," she snapped. He didn't move. "I'm not here as an employee. Just as someone who's been through losing." Something inside her broke. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe his voice reminded her of something she once was, human. She sighed and gestured for him to sit. They ate in silence for a minute. Then he said, "You know, my daughter, Lily, she thinks I'm some kind of hero. But truth is, I've made more mistakes than I can count. Still, every night, she looks at me like I hung the moon. That's what keeps me going. Victoria looked at him quietly. You're lucky. I don't have anyone who looks at me that way. He smiled softly. Maybe you stopped letting them. That night, Victoria went home, but sleep never came. She kept hearing Ethan's words, echoing through her mind. Maybe you stopped letting them. By morning, something had changed. She walked into her office with a new calmness. Instead of hiding the stolen proposal, she opened a blank document and began writing something new, her own plan, built from scratch, built on honesty. Hours passed. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. For the first time in years, she wasn't just a CEO trying to win. She was a human trying to rebuild. By 6 p.m., she had her presentation ready. The board would decide her fate in 1 hour. And then, disaster struck again. The projector system failed, and the tech team was gone. Panic rippled across the room. Ethan, who happened to be mopping outside, saw her face through the glass, pale, trembling, defeated. Without a word, he walked in. I fixed this projector last week, he said, plugging in a cable. Old wire. Needs a little patience. Within seconds, the screen flickered to life. The room erupted in relieved murmurs. Victoria turned to him, stunned. Thank you, she whispered. He just smiled. Told you. Sometimes the solution isn't in money. Chapter 2. The presentation began. For 30 minutes, Victoria spoke with a fire that had been buried for years. She didn't sugarcoat her mistakes. She admitted the company's flaws. But she also showed a vision, clean energy tech, rebuilt ethics, and a plan to hire more people from struggling communities. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. When she finished, the boardroom fell silent. Then one of the oldest members stood up and said, for the first time in years, I believe in this company again. The room erupted in applause. Investors agreed to fund the plan. Hale Innovations was saved, not by deceit or power, but by truth. Afterward, Victoria walked out into the hallway and found Ethan wiping the same spot on the floor, humming softly. You did it, he said. No, she smiled, her eyes glistening. We did it. She reached into her bag and handed him an envelope. You're not just a janitor anymore, Ethan. You're my new operations supervisor. You believed in me when I didn't. He stared at the letter, speechless. Ma'am. I don't know what to say. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Just say yes. And maybe, go home early tonight. Lily deserves her hero back. He smiled, tears gathering in his eyes. Thank you, ma'am. Truly. As he walked away, she called out, Ethan. He turned. She said quietly, thank you, for saving my life. Months passed. Hale Innovations rose again, stronger than before, not as a corporate giant, but as a symbol of second chances. Victoria often visited the lower floors, talking to staff she'd once ignored. And every morning, she'd see Ethan drop off his daughter at the office daycare before heading upstairs, no longer in a janitor's uniform, but in a clean white shirt and tie. He always waved to her. She always waved back. Two people from different worlds, bound forever by a few words, a cup of coffee, and one act of kindness that changed everything. Because sometimes, it only takes one honest heart to save another. And that night, as Victoria looked out her window at the glittering skyline, she whispered, he was right. Life doesn't end when you lose something. It begins when you choose to rebuild. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment, because kindness might just be the most powerful thing we have left.